I'm sure you're aware of the virus that started in China back in January, but are you aware of the fever that started in August 2018 in China and killed over 1 million pigs, literally killing half of the pig population in China, and that they have kept it a secret up until recently? It's the African swine fever that first appeared in China in August of 2018. They literally didn't tell anybody about it. They even got to the point where they went and paid their farmers to cull their herds and ended up killing 50% of the pigs in China. Now, pork is a staple of the diet in China. Again, understand that Chinese farming is very different than our farming. We have corporate farming. We have the Food and Drug Administration that monitors the raising of all meats and protein. That's not true in China. China's agricultural industry is pretty much a small farm industry, whether it's garden farming for vegetables or, in the case of pork, small farmers that maybe have a herd of 50 to 500 pigs, and they take them to market. They feed them garbage for the most part, leftover garbage. As a result, it's a pretty dirty industry. I think you would compare it to probably the farming industry in the early 1800s in the United States. Well, they got a virus, an African swine virus, and it spread throughout their markets. Now, the Chinese prefer not to freeze their pork. They want it fresh. And as a result, this virus moved through the country very rapidly. One of the benefactors of the virus, the swine virus, or fever, I guess it is a company in the United States by the name of Smithfield Farms. I would recommend Smithfield Farms as a stock to buy because they have increased their production of pigs shipped to China by 100%. They send roughly 10,000 pig carcasses to China per day. The problem is Smithfield Farms was bought by a Hong Kong company, WH Group, for $4.7 billion in 2013. So there's no buying opportunity there. I'm bringing this to your attention because I think you need to know that the Chinese are not going to be honest with us. They are saying that they have passed the peak of the virus in China and that they are opening their plants and putting their people back to work. There are other people saying they may have turned the lights on, but there's nobody working in the factories. I don't know. But we need to be cautious of the numbers and the reports that come out of China. They probably aren't based on fact, because certainly they have hid this African swine fever from us very successfully for roughly 19 months. The ultimate effect of the fever on you will be you're going to see the price of pork going up in your supermarket as the Chinese gobble up as much pork as they can get out of the United States, even though they don't like it frozen. It is such that at Smithfield, they are not what I guess you would call butchering the pork to the extent that they normally would. They're actually freezing the pigs in much less butchered condition and shipping them to China, because the final work on butchering them is being done in China to keep the Chinese workers working, at least once they get back to work. So my point is, don't believe everything that comes out of China. I've been accused of overreacting to this. Again, remember, I'm 75 years old. I'm the target for the C virus. I am becoming much less social. I am finding myself skipping meetings, not going out to lunch with people, because I can do that again after the scare is gone, after the pandemic has moved on. How long, I've been asked in my comments of some of my videos, how long is this going to go on? I believe we're going to be dealing with this for at least 3 more months. And I think the ramifications that you need to understand is the virus will kill people. It will not kill our economy. It's debt that is going to kill our economy. We have, as I have alluded to in many other videos, we have run up enormous debt, whether it's consumer debt, student debt, credit card debt, mortgage debt, corporate debt, governmental debt. The debt is so high, and the obligations beyond the debt is so high, meaning that we're talking about now Social Security obligations, Medicare obligations, pension obligations, and they're being ignored. We are hearing that the president is talking about relieving or excusing, if you will, the payroll tax. Well, what the payroll tax is my Social Security. The payroll tax is, as an employee, you give so much of your income towards Social Security, and then your employer has to match that at 50%. So if they reduce the payroll tax, all they're doing is putting Social Security in greater jeopardy. A problem with that is it disproportionately comes from people who are making more money than people who are making less money. And in either case, it maybe helps the employer, but it doesn't really help the employee. And that's who's going to suffer in this. Some people, because they aren't being employed, aren't going to make their mortgage payment. They aren't going to be able to make their car payments. And we're going to have bank failures. That's why I believe Trump called the presidents of most of the banks into the White House today. Hope and hooray for him hearing my pleas to show some leadership. And Donald, thank you. Thank you for stepping up to the plate and showing some leadership. That's what we need here. We need some causes. I hate the fact that you're going to just throw us further in debt, but it's what's needed. It shouldn't have been done for the past 12 years. Well, it should have probably been done for the first 4 after 08, but it shouldn't have been done at the levels that you've done it for the last 4 years you've been in office, just to support the stock market. I get a little upset that everything is focused on the market. Even Lester Holt is talking about what the market did today. Let's talk about what it's going to do to the citizens. That's who's going to be hurt here. The banks will survive. The corporations will survive. Sure, Occidental Petroleum will go out of business, and there'll be some small companies that really didn't belong in business anyway that'll go out of business. But it's the citizenry. I don't hear enough about how are we going to take care of them?